Repetition is part of the process when it comes to a certain type of action roguelike. That's not inherently a bad thing, but Yasha, Legends of the Demon Blade commits the cardinal sin of not bolstering the droll byproduct of doing the same thing over and over again with compelling meta progression. It doesn't hide it underneath an interesting story delivered by characters you can't wait to hear from either. Instead, its few attempts at drama and humor miss more than hit, and its decent combat and interesting weapons are let down by room after room of weak monsters and weaker level design. The Legends part of the title is literal, with the story of Yasha told and retold across 3 campaigns with different playable protagonists. Each tale remixes the roles of some key characters, almost akin to a theater troupe that puts on multiple shows with the same small cast. Old Man Genjo goes from village elder to adoptive father to benevolent king across the 3 stories, for example. This idea is maybe the most interesting thing about these stories, though. They're otherwise filled to the brim with some well-worn tropes, like the chosen one whose past is shrouded in mystery, or the good soldier just looking to uphold the honor of their patron in the face of certain annihilation. The problem isn't simply that these stories aren't super original. Reused structure can still make for entertaining fiction. It's that all 3 are packed with just as much or more banal writing as they are with any compelling dialogue. Underwhelming moments of self-reflection and bad attempts at humor quickly overstay their welcome in a trio of tales that try and fail to be moving and meaningful. The structure of Yasha doesn't help deliver the story very well either. It attempts the Hades-like approach of weaving conversations between boss fights at the end of each dungeon run's 3 stages, but produces neither memorable moments between the chosen characters and their enemies, nor good or even coherent reasons to continue down the path. Finishing a run changes the chapter, and everything is done all over again with almost no changes to the structure. In between trips through the gauntlet, the village of people you're supposedly fighting to protect features a good amount of townsfolk to talk to, and not a single one with anything interesting to say. The rinse and repeat nature of it all does the already mid-story no favors. For their own reasons, each hero takes on a journey in pursuit of the dastardly fox demon, who's been spreading his influence and causing chaos throughout the land. These journeys take them chopping and shooting their way through the same 3 locations: a crab-infested beach, a forest full of demons and angry wildlife, and a frigid castle stuffed with enemy soldiers. Runs themselves are largely static and predictable, as stage layouts, enemy variety, and spawn patterns remain the same for every trip through the dungeon. Monsters may be slightly stronger and rooms are shaped differently when you reach the next chapter, but that's about it. These areas are pretty, but aren't very dynamic, and only the last castle region has features in it like destructible walls and floor traps that can hinder your progress outside of the monsters themselves. This does help you gain some muscle memory and learn the best way to handle challenges from run to run, but the majority of the battles felt trivial on standard difficulty. Only the last couple of bosses are a consistent challenge, with such large health pools that you can't kill them so aggressively fast that they don't even have a chance to do damage to you. Though Yasha is pretty easy, it can still be fun thanks to the snappy combat and how different each of the 3 playable characters control compared to one another. Every fighter combines light and heavy attacks to vanquish foes while using dashes and parries to stay alive, with successful counterattacks turning into big damage. Shigure's sword swinging is capable of a balance between aggressive and defensive strategies that rely on those counters, which feels very different from Sarah's all-in dual-wielding style that's all about overwhelming enemies with naturally empowered dash attacks. Or Taketora's patient range strategy of creating distance and clobbering enemies from afar, while also having strong melee options to make space if needed. It's all pretty basic, but it's crisp and crunchy, like a good oni-flavored potato chip. The weapon selection is plentiful at around 7 options per character, of which you can take any 2 on a trip through the dungeon. They're all pretty different from one another, with swords that light enemies on fire or get stronger every time you use a certain type of attack. but across characters, you'll start to notice that they don't deviate much. For example, all 3 warriors have a version of that fire weapon, or that one that gets stronger. And when most enemies are so easy that they don't require much strategy to beat, there wasn't much encouragement to experiment with the more interesting weapons anyway, like a fun-looking bow that can mark enemies and make every subsequent shot home in on them. The only real randomness in Yasha comes in the various buffs you can earn for your weapons that empower and alter their abilities, as well as amulets that increase your stats that you can buy from a shopkeeper or loot from enemies. The former is where you'll spend most of your brain power, trying to guess how a new ability might work in tandem with ones you already have, or if it's good enough to abandon your original plan entirely. That said, you could also find yourself focusing on one specific build simply to defeat the frustrating power spike of the last boss, since many of these abilities function similarly between like weapons in each character's arsenal. As the saying goes, if it's broken, don't fix it. After every run, win or lose, you can spend currency earned in battle on some passive abilities that strengthen your damage and health, or give you bonuses when certain conditions are met, like bonus attack damage while at less than half HP. Whether you choose to invest in these talents or use those resources to upgrade your favorite weapons instead, you'll always feel significantly stronger the next time you go down the rabbit hole. None really change the way you play significantly, but they make everything work a bit better than last time. When finishing a character's story, you also gain the ability to add modifiers to future runs that ostensibly make it more difficult. This does add more pushback to any given run far earlier and gives you access to special items that let you upgrade your weapons even further, but it's not enough motivation to try and push this game's limits once the main campaigns are buttoned up. After the roughly 20 hours it takes to complete the stories of all 3 characters, you'll have seen the exact same areas and enemies so many times that it's hard to be bothered to take any more trips through the Demon Gate. Yasha Legends of the Demon Blade can be fun for a bit, but with repetitive levels that lack a significant challenge for most of the 3 campaigns, it doesn't stay that way for long. Though its quick and basic combat is solid, the potential of its diverse weapon selection to bring variety and nuance to battle is undermined by how easy so much of it is without really investing in them at all. Not to mention, you'll see all there is to see enemy and level-wise by the end of the first chapter of the first character you choose. And when its stories fail to do much more than provide a flimsy bridge to the next group of baddies to kill, you might be convinced pretty quickly to let sleeping legends lie. For more, check out our reviews of Doom: The Dark Ages or Shotgun Cop Man, and for everything else, stick with IGN.